Well,
Can you hear her?
I would like to think that I can uplift by being that aloof. And sometimes I guess I've felt that by separating myself, exactly what you're saying, we've been trained to go be sympathetic with somebody.
Well, we want you to go, but we want you to be sympathetic to her vibrational escrow being, not to her
Yeah,
physical
right.
being. And the thing that's interesting about that, and we know, somebody who's complaining wants you to complain with them. And when you don't, they sometimes act like you're letting them down. They don't want you to be complimentary to their enemies, so to speak. They don't want you to look for solutions when they're just spelling out the problem.
Right.
But you've got to be selfish enough to not be willing to let their needs supersede yours, because as you let them do that to you, it pulls you apart. And when it pulls you apart, now you're a shadow of the person. In other words, if you can get somebody, let us paint out a scenario for you just to give you a little leverage and willingness to be the selfish being that we're trying to train you to be. Let's say that you know someone who has been working to be tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and they're a pretty positive person. And you've got a real beef about something. Something's really bothering you. And you're beating the drum of it, and they won't come. So you beat the drum louder, and they won't come. And you know they're not coming, so you decide to work on them harder. So you make it more personal. You point out how it's not working for them either. And you spend a few days on it, but you're good at it because you've been practicing this a lot, and you're really present in their life, and you wear them down, and you suck them into your muck. And now you're there commiserating. And for a fraction of a second, you think, oh, good. You finally came where I wanted you to come. But then this is something you didn't count on. Now, this one is separated from who he really is. He is a miserable being to be with. In other words, you've sucked the life right out of him, literally. And he's there with you, but it's not pretty.
Right.
Where when you really get it, that what you want from others and what you want to be for others is tuned in, tapped in, turned on. You want to be in alignment with who you are, you see. You're not looking, none of you are looking, your mother too, she's not looking for agreement in her misery. No one's looking for their agreement in misery of another human, although that feels better than standing there in your misery all alone, you think. The agreement that she's looking for is over here. In other words, what she wants is to be back in alignment with who she is. And anything less than you knowing who that is and practicing it, even though it's hard, will be of any value to her whatsoever, you see. This is helpful in every relationship that you could ever imagine. In other words, it's the same exact scenario, whether you're talking about lovers, whether you're talking about parents and children, whether you're talking about associates at work. In other words, your work is to tend to your own connection first. And when you do, everything else will fall into alignment. And if you get tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and someone is not swept by your power of influence and does not come into alignment, but you consistently remain there in vibrational alignment with who you are and all of the wonderful things that you've been amassing in your vibrational escrow, you won't be rendezvousing with those ornery toads. The only reason that you ever keep anyone ornery in your experience is because you're giving quite a bit of your attention to the things about them that you do not like.
Right.
We're not looking at you because you're an ornery toad. Something more?
Not right now. Thank you very much.
Very good. So let's talk about that just for a moment. Let's talk about that just for a moment, because you are following that well. We could feel you coming along with it. But we want to emphasize it a little bit more for this reason. As you are interacting with so many others, there are a lot of dynamics that are going on. Some of them you've known for a long while. In other words, familiar or family encounters are often more dynamic because you've been practicing the vibration of those longer. But also sometimes you'll meet someone who has a very strong vibrational pattern going on, and they will affect you in some sort of a dynamic way. We want you to make a decision that no matter who they are, no matter how important to you they have been, no matter how many times you've been taught to honor them or obey them, no matter how much you've been learning about the way your behavior should be patterned, we want, by the end of this time that we are together in these days that are before us, to help you come around to an awareness that much more important than how you get along with any of them is how you're getting along with you. And when you reach the place where it matters more to you that you feel good, so much so that you're not, sometimes those people who are having a very hard time have trained you into seeing them as they are. So then, as you see them, as you've practiced seeing them, which seems like the natural thing to do because you've been doing it for so long, you get separated from who you are and don't even know that you're doing it unless you are aware of the way you feel. As you begin to pay attention to the way you feel, you'll begin to understand, in some cases for the first time, what kind of a vibrational relationship your thoughts about different people are causing you to have with yourself. So we would like you to ponder, and it would be worth doing over the next few days because it will bring something alive within you. Think about the people that are most dynamic in your life. In other words, the people you work with, the people you live with, the people you were born to, those people that you find yourself either interacting with physically or that you find yourself thinking about quite a bit. And focus upon them individually. Put each name at the top of a sheet of paper and focus upon their name and sort of draw their vibrational countenance forward into your vibration, and then ask this question: what kind of relationship does my thinking about you cause me to have with my inner being? Did you hear that? What kind of a relationship do I have with my inner being when I think about you? So if it's someone who cheated you and you think about them, they seem to cause you to have a disconnected relationship with your inner being. And do you know why? Because your inner being, no matter how bad you think they were, will not dislike them, will not see them as inappropriate. So you would say to this person, you're causing me to have a separation between me and me. And then say, oh wait, I forgot. You can't create in my experience. I'm doing it. When I think about you, I'm using you as my excuse to separate me. Some of them, when you write their names, you will feel connection right away because that's who they are. They're easy to love. They're easy to appreciate. They're easy. And so you say to them, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you so much. It's so wonderful that you stand on your head in all of the ways that you do to make me feel good. But we want you again to realize that even though they're behaving in ways that are pleasing to you, you must not ask their behavior to change. In other words, this game isn't about getting everyone in your book to shape up so that you can finally say, there, you finally changed your ways and you finally behaving in a way that now you cause no separation between me and me when I look at you. And yet, you know, that's what so many of you have been striving for in your relationships. You've been trying to get them to be the way you need them to be so that you can come into alignment with who you are, even though you did not understand it in these terms of vibrational escrow, of source energy spewing into you, in terms of you becoming part of that vibration, in terms of you becoming that newly evolved being. You didn't understand that the way you were feeling was because of the separation between you and you, but now you do, and now you can't go back. So you'll look at some name on some page and you'll feel them as the rascal that they have been to you, and in the beginning you'll feel the negative emotion that you've felt for years in some cases when you think about this person, only now you'll stop and you'll consciously acknowledge, I've trained myself into patterns of thought about you that have caused separation in me, but that stops today. And that doesn't mean, you can say to the person who you've written in your book, that doesn't mean that my hatred for you or my despair about you or my concern about you is all of a sudden in one fell swoop going to turn to sunshine and lollipops and joy and love and appreciation. What it does mean is I now know what my objective is, and I am now once and for all freeing you from any responsibility within it, because you can't stand on your head in enough different ways for me to close my gap. I can do it myself. And we promise you, friends, that in your acknowledgement that you are free to close that gap with them remaining exactly as they are, you're going to find freedom beyond anything that you've felt before. Because what that means is they can be as they are, which they're probably going to be anyway for a while. And you can find a way of looking at them. Now, this is what you're going to do with the rest of this page that you've written about them. Now, you're not looking for something about them that makes your heart sing for joy. You're looking for a feeling of relief from this feeling that you have. In other words, that's all. You just want to soften the feeling that you're feeling right now a little bit. You just want to close that gap a little bit. In fact, don't even think about closing the gap. Just think about letting go of the oars. And as you let go of the oars, the boat will turn you. The stream will turn your boat. And as you've turned in the stream, you begin to move. You will begin to feel immediate relief. So what will begin to happen is, so many of the circumstances, it might be your president, it might be some leader of some other nation, it might be some world event, it might be some economic situation, it might be some dynamic that's going on in your personal life relative to a neighbor. In other words, whatever it is you're feeling emotion around, what you're wanting to do is to come to the place that you realize that the circumstance does not have to change in order for you to begin closing the gap. And as you close that gap, then the circumstance has to change. It's not possible for you to have become something vibrationally and feel good if you're holding yourself apart from it. It's not possible for you to have become something vibrationally and turn yourself again and again by letting go of the oars and allowing yourself to move in the stream. It's not possible for you to not come into vibrational alignment with it. And it is not possible, once you've come into vibrational alignment with it, for it not to change. People say, give me the change and then I'll feel better. And we say, affect feeling better and then you'll get the change. It's sort of been the standoff that we've had with our physical friends for a very long time. Give me the change and I will feel better. And we say, feel better and then you'll get the change. And they will say, okay, I'll do it to affect the manifestation. And we say, then we still have some work to do. We want you to have the manifestation that you seek, but we want you to find a way to affect the change because we want you to feel good in your now. And why would we want you to feel good in your now? Because we feel good in our now, and we want you to come to where we are. In other words, we want you to feel the clarity, the vitality, and the sensation of love that comes from releasing resistance. Oh, and by the way, then you'll get everything you want. Good time for a segment of refreshment. We are complete.